So welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and I am a gorilla in the wrist, but you know that already. Today we're back in Addiesdive world. There's an old adage that if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. This may well be the exception that proves the rule. So today we're looking at this 36mm Addiesdive AD2030. And the question for today is it just too good to be true? Let's get into it. So we're going to do a very quick run round the watch before we get into the detailed specifications. What we have is a 36mm, I can't think whether you'd call this a dress watch or a sports watch. It has a fascinating dial, really lovely, and a huge amount of reflection as well. But if I can get the reflection off it very briefly, you'll see it kind of has I think of it as a sand dune type effect on the dial itself. It's really interesting. It has a fixed, highly polished bezel. Inside it has the VH31 movement, so this is a mecha quartz. It has 100 meters of water resistance. It has a fairly good, fairly forgiving 45mm lug to lug, predominantly due to, isn't it nice to say this, really good female end links, as you can see there. The other thing it has is it has an amazing domed crystal, and it is sapphire, but it just, and you can see if you look around the sort of bottom right edges, that pop of blue anti-reflective coating. It looks fantastic and appears completely useless, since this thing reflects more than a mirror. It's quite remarkable. But it's all 316L stainless steel. The sides have got a high polish on them as well. The crown, again, has the Addiesdive logo on it. And you have this fairly standard-ish 3-link oyster bracelet watch, with a fairly decent scissor clasp, and again very heavily branded buckle on it. Lots and lots and lots of micro adjust. Slightly different. It is one of these slightly strange clasps. I mean, I've seen them on other watches. Then on the back of the watch, I've still got the sticker on it, but the Addiesdive logo and a little bit of the story of the watch around the outside. We have solid end links. We have a decent sized bracelet, so the bracelet fit me. I actually had to take a link out, very unusual for me. And we come back to that dial, which is something very, very interesting. So let's get into the detailed specifications. So the dial width is 36mm. It has an effective lug to lug of about 46mm. The lug width is the slightly smaller 18mm, but still fairly standard. It's 11mm thick because it houses that Seiko VH31 movement. It weighs in on the supplied bracelet at 106 grams, has 100 meters of water resistance, and a mineral crystal. So let's start off with the things that I don't really like about this watch. So the first one, I'm still in two minds about this, is the size. I mean, it's great to see a smaller watch at 36mm coming out. I think there are plenty of really good 36mm watches, and if you think of Grail watches, there's a number where actually I would think about getting one. And certainly the 45mm lug to lug on this, so the lugs do extend quite a way away from the dial and bezel, kind of makes it wear slightly bigger. So let me just show you how it wears. And as you'll note, apart from obviously all the scratches on my hand because I've been fighting with roses in the garden this morning, what you'll notice is that it doesn't wear tiny. I just try and pull back a bit. It doesn't wear like a 36mm watch, and that clearly is because of that slightly elongated lug to lug. So people with bigger wrists, us gorillas, I don't think it's a problem. You may disagree, you may think it just looks silly on my enormous wrists, but actually I don't think it's that bad. So whilst I've kind of picked it up as a gripe in terms of the size, it wears bigger than it really looks. And my second gripe is that anti-reflective coating. I really, I mean, I'm not going to moan about it. I really like the little pop of blue that you get, and it is a little bit reminiscent of the SD1970, where even the black dialed watches look blue because of the anti-reflective coating that's on them. And that would be great, if only for the fact that it was completely ineffective. So the anti-reflective coating on this does nothing, and you'll see that because you're about to see me on the reflection. It is very lots of flectile on this one. And the final thing I don't like about it, well, let's guess. So in terms of the things I like about this watch, and I've zoomed in specifically so that you can get this in, if you can ignore the reflecto for a minute, that dial is sensational. I mean, this is a watch that comes in two other colours. I think it comes in a white and it comes in a blue. But that sort of wave texture effect is incredibly effective. I mean, really looks good. I mean, I have a slight doubt about whether having silver hands against that makes them necessarily particularly visible, but it's hard to argue anything other than that dial is just remarkable. One of the best I've seen, and certainly seems to be a long way away from any of Addiesdive's other output. So very impressed with that. The other thing I like about this is that actually Addiesdive have been fairly honest. So they've kind of thought about loom and decided that on this style of watch probably not appropriate, so they haven't bothered. They haven't tried. We haven't got some weak-ass loom like you would have seen on the Pagani Design 1676 that I reviewed last week. They've just said, nope, not doing that. Not putting loom on the watch. Done. And I think they should be given credit for that. I wish other brands did that too. I certainly wish the Pagani Design that we looked at last week had done that, because they might as well have not bothered. So I think you have to really give them credit for that. The other thing is, whilst I have a few sort of problems with the bracelet, actually it does fit, and that micro adjust is fantastic. And again, have a look at the finishing on this. This is a £50 watch. So loads of micro adjust. It's got a beautiful polished chamfered edge, and over the top of the brush effect is some very good diving. Now, I get that the branding divides people. Some people will like it, some people won't. But it's hard to argue that they haven't made a good job of it. And one of the things they do seem to be very good at is branding their watches. They seem to do it really well, because they've also got it on the crown. Seiko, take note. You sell me a £300 watch, can't even be bothered to brand the crown. This little AliExpress seller manages to get it onto, well, all of their watches really. The third thing I really like, and it's odd this because it creates a huge amount of reflection, but I love a domed sapphire crystal. I really do. And this one is a bit special. You get fantastic distortion around the edges. It's fun. This is a fun watch. Here it goes, here it goes, here it goes, here it goes. It's just a fun thing. And it kind of has that mid-century shape and vibe to it, without necessarily having gone for a vintage type look, which is quite a thing to pull off in a watch at this level. So those are the things I really liked about it. Sorry, addendum to my Gorilla Greats. I've just found out this one isn't a sapphire crystal. Take back everything I said about it. It's a mineral crystal. It's a domed mineral crystal. I still think it's fantastic. I'm a little bit gutted that it's not sapphire, because I'm a clumsy gowk, and at some point I'm going to smash it into a watch, and then it's all going to end in tears. And I still do like the that distortion on it is impressive. But I thought I should clarify the record. It's not a sapphire crystal. It's just a domed mineral crystal. Sorry. So we're going to have a go at summing this one up. I think I really wanted to start off by just reflecting on my love for this brand. I think in the budget watch environment on AliExpress, Addiesdive or Steel Dive, I suspect it is the same company, just slight tweaking to the branding. But they produce great fun watches at almost no money, very little money at all. And therefore this feels like just another one to the fantastic range of watches that they already have. I have to say, in answering the question that I started out with, which was, is this the exception that proves the rule? I think having figured out that actually it doesn't have sapphire crystal on it, maybe the answer to that is probably not. But if the question is this a good value watch at £50? The answer is, I think, unequivocally yes. It's got a very reliable VH31 movement. It's really interesting to see a small watch, even for a gorilla, and a watch that doesn't wear like a small watch either, but has the dimensions for it. And then finally, that dial. If Seiko had made this watch with that dial, you'd be looking at £600-700. So I think the fact that Addiesdive are doing it at the price that they do is absolutely phenomenal. So for me, this is a thumbs up, a gorilla thumbs up. I can wholeheartedly recommend this one to you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for seeing the video through to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments box. All that there's really left to do is for me to wish you a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing you back very soon. Take care, folks. Bye bye.